Most men make one huge mistake after a breakup. They panic. They text too much, over-explain themselves, or try to convince her to come back. And that's exactly why most women pull further away. If you want her back, it's not about chasing, begging, or forcing anything. It's about strategy, presence, and emotional intelligence, the kind that makes her see you in a completely new light. In this video, I'm going to show you how to get any woman back, even if she's not interested right now. I'm not talking about manipulation or tricks. I'm talking about real ways to reset the dynamic, rebuild attraction, and make her genuinely curious about you again. These are methods that work because they focus on your growth, your confidence, and the way you show up, not on trying to convince someone to feel something. Here's the truth. Women don't return to men who are desperate, apologetic, or unsure. They return to men who are calm, grounded, and irresistible, not because of what they say, but because of how they carry themselves. And the good news is that becoming that man isn't about grand gestures or complicated tactics. It's about clarity, self-respect, and making small changes that shift how she perceives you. I've seen this work countless times. Men who felt completely done for after a breakup were able to turn things around, not by texting constantly, not by over-explaining mistakes, and not by pleading for attention, but by stepping into a version of themselves that commands respect and naturally draws her back in. It's psychology, yes, but it's also emotional truth. People are attracted to confidence, presence, and someone who feels like they've mastered themselves. Over the next few minutes, I'm going to break down exactly what you need to do, step by step. You'll learn how to reset the interaction, rebuild her curiosity, and subtly reignite attraction, even if she seems cold or uninterested right now. You'll see why most men fail and how a small shift in your mindset and behavior can make her start noticing you again, naturally. If you're ready to stop guessing, stop chasing, and start acting with calm confidence, you're in the right place. Welcome to the channel. This is where we cut through confusion, focus on real results, and help you become the man women genuinely want. Make sure to hit subscribe and follow so you never miss the strategies and insights that actually work. Stick with me, because what I'm about to share could change the way she sees you and the way you see yourself. 1. Understanding why she lost interest and why panic is your worst enemy. The first step to getting any woman back is understanding why she pulled away in the first place. Most men immediately assume it's about something they did wrong, or they convince themselves that if they just apologize enough, she'll come back. That's the wrong approach. Attraction isn't a scoreboard you can win by begging. Women lose interest for many reasons, but the most common ones aren't personal attacks. They're about energy, consistency, and emotional alignment. She's reacting to how you showed up, not just what you said. The biggest mistake older men make is panic. The moment she seems distant, they start texting constantly, sending long explanations, or trying to fix the situation. That kind of behavior communicates desperation and lack of control. When you panic, you tell her that your sense of self depends on her attention. That's never attractive. Attraction grows in men who remain calm, grounded, and deliberate, even when things seem uncertain. Your energy matters far more than your words. Next, understand that disinterest is rarely permanent. If she's truly not interested, there's nothing you can do. But more often than you realize, what looks like disinterest is actually a pause, a moment where curiosity faded because you stopped being compelling, consistent, or confident. Women are naturally attracted to men who bring stability, direction, and presence into their lives. If you've been reactive or apologetic, you've unintentionally lowered your attraction. The goal now is to reverse that without chasing. Start by taking a step back. Stop over-communicating. Stop trying to explain yourself. This doesn't mean ignoring her completely. It means reclaiming your energy and your presence. When you become less available in a calm, controlled way, it creates space for her to notice what she's missing. Absence isn't about playing games. It's about showing that your life is full, balanced, and interesting, independent of her approval. That kind of energy is magnetic. Another critical point is emotional reflection. Before reaching out again, assess your own behavior and identify patterns that may have pushed her away. Were you too reactive to her moods? Did you apologize for normal masculine behaviors? Did you prioritize her validation over your own sense of purpose? Fixing these internally first ensures that when you reconnect, you're not repeating the same mistakes. Women notice subtle shifts in confidence and self-assuredness more than words or gestures. Finally, remember that rebuilding attraction takes patience. You don't need to win her back overnight. Every action, every interaction, and every choice should subtly reinforce that you are calm, confident, and fully in control of your life. That's what turns fleeting curiosity into genuine interest again. When she sees that you're not desperate, not reactive, and not waiting for her permission to feel good about yourself, her perception of you shifts naturally. And suddenly, the man she once lost interest in becomes someone she wants to re-engage with. Once you've internalized this mindset, everything else becomes easier. You're no longer reacting out of fear. You're responding with purpose. And that's the first key to getting any woman back. Stop panicking, understand why she pulled away, and start demonstrating calm, grounded confidence that makes her curious again. 2. Rebuilding curiosity. How to make her notice you again without chasing. Once you've stepped back and stopped panicking, the next step is to rebuild curiosity. Women are naturally drawn to men who have their own energy, direction, and life. If she lost interest, it's usually because the dynamic became predictable, reactive, or needy. To reverse that, you need to show her that you've shifted, without directly trying to convince her. The key here is subtlety. Your actions and energy should speak louder than words. Start by focusing on your own life. Invest time in hobbies, fitness, career, and social connections. When your life feels full, your energy changes. You stop thinking about her constantly, stop overanalyzing her behavior, and naturally become more attractive. This isn't about ignoring her, it's about creating an environment where she notices you without being forced. A man who is grounded and present in his own life suddenly becomes a puzzle, intriguing, confident, and magnetic. Next, use communication strategically. Instead of long explanations, endless texts, or emotional appeals, send short, confident messages that create curiosity. For example, a simple message that shows something interesting in your life, without over-explaining, can make her pause and pay attention. The goal isn't to impress her with every detail, but to remind her subtly that you are dynamic and in control. When done correctly, this shifts her perception from "he's needy" to "he's intriguing." Another critical point is emotional neutrality. If she's cold or distant, don't react with panic or frustration. Your calmness in the face of her indifference shows emotional strength. Women are subconsciously attracted to men who maintain stability, even when tension is present. That emotional steadiness communicates that you are a man she can rely on and respect, a magnetic quality she may have unconsciously missed before. Timing matters too. Don't rush interactions or try to force a conversation. Space creates curiosity. When you give her the chance to wonder what you're up to, you're no longer chasing her attention. You're inviting her interest. This is the opposite of begging or over-communicating, and it flips the dynamic in your favor. Every pause, every well-timed message, and every subtle display of independence strengthens your position. Body language and self-presentation play a role even before you reconnect directly. If you see her in person, show confidence in posture, eye contact, and energy. Even subtle changes in how you carry yourself communicate that you've improved your life and your presence. Attraction is rarely just about words. It's about the energy you emit, the way you hold space, and the sense that you're a man who is complete without her validation. Finally, be patient and consistent. Rebuilding curiosity isn't about dramatic gestures or immediate results. It's about showing steady growth, calm confidence, and subtle intrigue over time. When she notices you without being chased, she begins to reevaluate her interest. Suddenly, the man she overlooked starts to feel magnetic, competent, and undeniably attractive again. Master this, and you move from being someone she's lost interest in to someone she can't help but reconsider. Curiosity is the bridge between indifference and desire, and when handled correctly, it sets the stage for rebuilding genuine connection naturally, without force, without manipulation, and with undeniable confidence. 3. How to communicate effectively. Words and energy that reignite attraction. Once curiosity starts to return, communication becomes the next critical step. But here's the catch. It's not about saying the right words. It's about how you deliver them. Most men fail here because they either over-explain, apologize, or try too hard to impress. Women notice energy first and content second. Your tone, timing, and presence matter far more than the literal words you use. If she's lost interest before, what she needs now is a man who communicates from calm confidence, not from need or fear. Start with light, confident contact. Short messages, playful comments, or references to shared memories work best. These remind her of your connection without pressuring her. Avoid long paragraphs or emotional confessions. These signal desperation, which immediately kills attraction. Instead, keep your messages purposeful, intriguing, confident, and a little mysterious. This creates a subtle pull, inviting her to engage without making her feel trapped or obligated. Listening is equally important. When she responds, pay attention not just to her words, but to the energy behind them. If she's engaged, playful, or curious, that's a green light. If she's brief, indifferent, or defensive, that's a cue to step back. Emotional awareness in conversation shows maturity, and women are naturally drawn to men who can read and respond to subtle cues without overreacting. This builds both attraction and trust. Timing matters just as much as what you say. Don't respond immediately to every message, but don't ignore her either. A balanced response creates a rhythm that feels natural and confident. She notices that you're not waiting on her approval, and that subtly shifts the dynamic in your favor. It demonstrates that your life moves independently, and she becomes curious to see more of it. Tone of voice in verbal or video interactions is critical. Speak with calm authority and measured energy. Avoid sounding nervous, defensive, or apologetic. Your presence in conversation communicates stability and confidence, qualities that reignite interest more effectively than any argument, apology, or elaborate explanation could. The energy you bring can make her feel safe, intrigued, and attracted all at once. Another key is playful challenge. Teasing, subtle banter, and mild challenge signal that you are confident and not overly invested in approval. These interactions remind her of your masculine energy and create an emotional contrast that naturally pulls her back in. But it must be light, authentic, and respectful. Overdoing it or being mean-spirited destroys attraction. Finally, focus on your own story, not hers. Bring value to every interaction by showing growth, passion, or interesting experiences. Share moments that highlight your confidence and independence. Women are drawn to men who have fulfilled lives, not men whose world revolves around trying to regain attention. This creates natural attraction, shifts her perception, and opens the door for genuine reconnection. When communication is handled correctly, through confident energy, strategic timing, playful challenge, and authentic self-expression, she begins to see you differently. You move from being someone she lost interest in to someone she respects, admires, and wants to re-engage with. This is the bridge between curiosity and genuine desire, and mastering it sets the stage for rebuilding your relationship successfully. 4. Making initial contact. How to approach her without pushing or scaring her off. Once curiosity is building and you've started communicating effectively, the next step is initiating contact in a way that feels natural, confident, and non-threatening. This is where most men make mistakes. They either overreach, try to force a meeting, or act too casual, which can kill the delicate tension you've been rebuilding. The goal here is subtlety. You want her to notice and engage, not feel pressured or cornered. Start by choosing the right medium. If you've been texting or messaging, a well-timed, confident message works best. Keep it short and intriguing. Avoid "I miss you" or long emotional appeals, because these communicate neediness. Instead, send something that hints at your life or plans in a way that she naturally wants to know more. For example, mentioning a new project, hobby, or interesting experience creates curiosity while reinforcing your independence. Your message should feel effortless and casual, not rehearsed or desperate. Timing is everything. Don't reach out immediately after noticing she's distant, and don't overdo it once you make contact. Space creates tension, and tension is what attracts. When you show that your life is full and you're not waiting on her reaction, she begins to respect your presence and notice your value. This approach is about creating opportunity rather than chasing her attention. If you're planning in-person contact, the same principles apply. Show up with confidence and energy that signals calm self-assurance. Your body language, eye contact, and tone communicate far more than the words you use. Stand tall, move naturally, and be aware of your presence in the space. Small gestures, a confident smile, relaxed posture, and subtle engagement can speak volumes. She will subconsciously read this energy and start to feel the shift from tension to intrigue. Another critical element is neutrality. When you do interact, avoid reacting to any negative or indifferent behavior. If she's cold or distant, don't try to fix it with charm or explanations. Stay composed and maintain your energy. Emotional neutrality communicates that your sense of self is independent of her responses, which is far more attractive than chasing validation. Women are naturally drawn to men who can hold their own emotional space. Use shared experiences to reconnect subtly. References to inside jokes, positive memories, or moments of connection from your past can reignite feelings without directly bringing up the breakup. This reminds her of the bond you had, while also demonstrating that your life is moving forward, confident and independent. The combination of nostalgia and growth creates both emotional warmth and curiosity, making her more likely to engage willingly. Finally, keep expectations realistic. The purpose of initial contact is not to force reconciliation or demand attention. It's to reestablish presence and spark curiosity. Even if she doesn't respond immediately, your calm, grounded approach plants the seed. By showing up with confidence, maintaining your independence, and interacting with subtle intrigue, you shift the dynamic in your favor, making her more likely to reconsider and re-engage naturally. Handled correctly, initial contact isn't about chasing. It's about signaling that you've grown, you're grounded, and your life is interesting. She begins to see you as someone worth noticing again, and that's the first step toward genuinely getting her back without force or desperation. 5. Rebuilding emotional connection, making her feel drawn to you again. Once you've reestablished contact, the next step is to rebuild emotional connection. This is the stage where attraction deepens and she starts to feel that pull again. Not because you've begged, explained, or overcompensated, but because you're demonstrating grounded confidence, growth, and emotional awareness. Many men skip this part or handle it poorly, thinking that attraction is purely physical or transactional. In reality, women return to men who make them feel understood, respected, and safe, while also maintaining intrigue and independence. Start by listening more than you talk. When she opens up, even just slightly, give her your full attention. Don't interrupt, correct, or overanalyze. A calm, attentive presence shows her that you value her perspective without being needy or reactive. The key is subtle reinforcement. She feels heard and emotionally validated, but you remain emotionally stable, not swept up in her feelings. This combination is magnetic because it balances warmth with strength, Something most men fail to achieve? Share experiences that reveal your personal growth. Without over-explaining, let her see that you've evolved since the breakup. This could be pursuing new hobbies, achieving goals, or simply demonstrating emotional composure. The important factor isn't proving yourself. It's showing, through your actions and demeanor, that you are a man who is constantly improving and fully in control of his life. Women are drawn to men who lead their own lives rather than cling to theirs. Use subtle, emotional nudges. Lightly reference positive memories or shared moments that naturally remind her of the bond you once had. This isn't about guilt or manipulation, it's about creating emotional resonance while showing that your life has continued independently. The juxtaposition of nostalgia with evidence of personal growth creates both emotional warmth and renewed curiosity. She begins to see that while you respect the past, you are not defined by it. And that combination is incredibly compelling. Maintain your boundaries and independence at all times. Emotional connection doesn't mean surrendering your energy or letting her dictate your mood. Stand firm in your priorities, choices, and sense of self. Women are attracted to men who can hold space for intimacy while remaining autonomous. This is why many older men fail. They overcommit emotionally too soon, and the very strength she found attractive disappears under neediness. Emotional connection grows when both parties feel respect, curiosity, and subtle tension, not when one side chases the other. Another key is controlled vulnerability. You can show authenticity without desperation. Sharing small, genuine insights into your feelings or experiences signals maturity and openness, but always in a way that reinforces strength rather than weakness. Controlled vulnerability deepens emotional bonds because it communicates that you are secure enough to share without needing approval. This creates trust and allows attraction to grow naturally alongside connection. Finally, be patient. Rebuilding emotional connection takes time and consistency. Each interaction should reinforce that you are grounded, intriguing, and emotionally stable. When done correctly, she will begin to see you in a completely new light, not just as the man she knew before, but as someone who has grown, evolved, and become undeniably attractive. Handled well, emotional reconnection lays the foundation for rekindling attraction. She starts to feel drawn to you naturally, curious about the changes she's noticing, and open to the possibility of rekindling a relationship without manipulation, force, or desperation. 6. Rebuilding sexual tension. How to spark desire naturally without force. Once emotional connection is being reestablished, the next level is sexual attraction. Many men make the mistake of either rushing this stage or avoiding it completely, thinking it's inappropriate or that she's not interested. The truth is, desire is closely linked to emotional energy, confidence, and presence. You don't need to force anything. Sexual tension grows naturally when you balance warmth, intrigue, and subtle challenge. The goal is to remind her of the chemistry you once had while showing that you're confident, grounded, and in control. Start with subtle cues. Physical presence, tone of voice, and energy communicate far more than explicit words. When you interact, whether in person, on video, or even over a call, maintain strong posture, calm eye contact, and relaxed body language. A playful smile or slight teasing can hint at attraction without overstepping boundaries. These small signals reignite desire because they create tension and anticipation. Women pick up on energy long before words matter. Another key technique is flirtation through controlled contrast. Balance warmth with challenge. Show interest and attentiveness, but also maintain independence and boundaries. For example, if she jokes or teases you, respond playfully but confidently instead of over-explaining or apologizing. This subtle push and pull reminds her of the dynamic that created initial attraction, and it makes interactions emotionally engaging again. Sexual tension thrives on unpredictability combined with emotional safety. Avoid desperation at all costs. Over-texting, excessive compliments, or overt sexual comments early in the reconnection process kills tension instantly. Desire isn't about persuasion. It's about curiosity, intrigue, and anticipation. When you remain composed and self-assured, you allow her to notice your value and feel drawn to you without pressure. She begins to see you as someone who is desirable, not someone she needs to convince. Physical touch, when appropriate, can amplify attraction. A brief, casual touch on the arm, shoulder, or back, if she's receptive, creates connection without forcing intimacy. These small, confident gestures communicate comfort, control, and closeness, which naturally increases sexual tension. The key is subtlety. Overdoing it or moving too quickly signals neediness, which destroys attraction rather than building it. Use playful language sparingly to hint at attraction. Light teasing, witty banter, or recalling intimate memories in a playful context can ignite desire without being overt. The goal is to make her smile, laugh, and feel drawn into your energy. Sexual tension grows when there's both emotional connection and an undercurrent of playful challenge. Finally, maintain patience and timing. Desire can't be rushed. It builds gradually as you consistently demonstrate confidence, presence, and emotional stability. When she feels safe, emotionally engaged, and intrigued by your energy, sexual attraction naturally resurfaces. You're not forcing intimacy. You're creating conditions where desire emerges organically. Handled correctly, sexual tension doesn't feel manipulative or aggressive. It flows naturally from your confidence, grounded energy, and playful connection. By the time this stage is reached, she sees you not just as someone she knew before, but as a man she's genuinely drawn to again. Someone who commands attention, respect, and desire effortlessly. Attraction, connection, and desire aren't built through chasing or begging. They're built through presence, confidence, and emotional intelligence. By understanding why she pulled away, rebuilding curiosity, communicating effectively, reconnecting emotionally, sparking subtle sexual tension, and maintaining independence, you create the conditions for her to naturally want to come back. Every step is about showing growth, calm confidence, and authenticity, not forcing her feelings or rushing the process. When handled correctly, she sees the man you've become and feels drawn to him again. Master this approach, and you don't just get her back, you rebuild a stronger, more magnetic connection that lasts.